There'll be a very interested observer to this Saturday's Fox pay-per-view card. Danny Garcia against Errol Spence Jr., 2 of the 4 welterweight world titles at stake. So let's bring in a guy who not only is the best dresser in boxing, he's fought both of them. Yes, my colleague, your favorite fighter, it is Shawn Porter of all things broadcast.
Nice to hear you say my colleague. I didn't know you respected me like that.
Thank you, sir. Of course I do. We do work together out in Los Angeles right now for Thursday night's NBC Sports Ring City USA card. Shawn, we love your work on Fox and also in the ring.
Yeah.
In the tailor shop as well. But that's well said.
We know that
already coming in. Great. You and I are across the hall from each other here, quarantined, but still fired up for this Saturday's fight. Shawn, you'll be calling the fight. You've been in the ring with both. Great fight, man. I almost feel like it's under the radar with all things going on quarantine-wise here. Is there a bigger storyline heading in here than which version of Errol are we going to see 14 months removed from the accident?
It's got to be the biggest headline. The biggest headline is who are we going to see in Errol Spence Jr. on Saturday night. And I think the headline right behind that is, what is Danny Garcia going to do about it? So the way I put it is simply this: Danny Garcia, start fast. Don't allow Errol Spence to figure out who he is. Don't allow Errol Spence Jr. to think that he can show us who he is. I just, that's the mindset that I think he needs to have. I think that Danny Garcia needs to have I'm going to take control type of mindset. But really the only thing that I think and feel that counters what I've just said is just that Danny Garcia is a great counterpuncher, and he can very well sit back and allow Errol Spence to do what he does and show us that he is who he used to be. And then boom, out of nowhere, he'll catch Errol Spence, could catch Errol Spence with a big left hook or even a big right hand. And we also can't forget that he's a good body puncher as well. So I think overall, like you said, this is a fight that's kind of flying under the radar now. I think because it was announced and we expected it sooner than it's coming, something that I think a lot of people are kind of forgetting about. But I think when it comes down to it, people will be excited with the understanding that there's a fight either guy could win. And I think when you have that in the ring, you get a good night of boxing.
Absolutely. The IBF, the WBC strap on the table. That was your strap one time, the WBC, right? You and Errol Spence last September had a classic look in contention for 2019 Fight of the Year, a split decision win for Spence. Now, Errol was on this show, Shawn, and he says, look, I knew Shawn was going to fight aggressive. My trainer wanted me to box. But I made the decision I'm going to fight him aggressive, and it was what it was. I almost feel like that's him dropping a little shade, saying I could have outboxed Shawn if I wanted to. Let's give Shawn Porter credit where credit is due. I don't think he knew what was coming, and you pushed that man to the absolute limit.
Let me tell you what happened, and he's publicly said this. He says he didn't listen to his corner, and that's a mistake that he'll never make again. This is the first time anyone's ever made him control him and made him do what he didn't want to do. I made him fight when he didn't want to fight. And then there were times where I moved and counterpunched him where he was expecting me to stay on him and things like that. I really controlled him in that fight, and I forced him to fight the fighting styles that I wanted him to fight. I mean, there were moments where he had me up against the ropes, and then I switched him and put him on the ropes, Those weren't things that he's used to getting have happened to him, So I think I took him through some things he had never been through before in the ring, and I think he learned from it. I think the number one thing that he didn't really recognize was happening in the moment was he was really being controlled by me, and I think he says that he didn't listen to his corner and he fought my fight. Well, it's not that he was trying to prove that he could fight my fight so much as it was I was forcing him to do the things that I wanted him to do, and he didn't really know how to react to that. And so, I think at the end of the day, man, it was a great fight, and I'm appreciative that it happened the way that it did. And, he got his hand raised, and, that's the way it went.
Well, the key question in that of what we learned from your fight with him, and credit to him, the judges, 2 of the 3 judges thought he did that much enough, but man, did you make it close? Some had you, that was a flip the coin fight if you ask me. Can Danny Garcia do to him though what you're able to? All 3 of you guys have fought each other, but there's different styles make different fights. Danny's Achilles heel has long been maybe he's got slower feet compared to the super elite. Is there anything Danny can do boxing wise that can surprise Errol the same way you did by mixing up your pressure on him?
You know, I don't think so. I think that Danny's biggest detriments in this fight and in his career, when he gets up against the guys like myself, Keith Thurman, and now Errol Spence Jr., is the fact that he does have slow feet. In the welterweight division, we have speed and power. You got to be able to get in and get out and set guys up, set those traps and things like that. And when you're a step behind, literally, from the guy across from you, you could very well lose the fight. The thing that he's got in his back pocket is the fact that it's almost like he's okay with being a step behind, because I'll make up for it with a big hook or a big right hand, the timing and the punch that you just don't see coming. And that's what he's got in his back pocket, you know, and I believe in it. I'm going to believe in that punch until maybe 8 or 9 rounds in. I think after that, it'll be too late for that kind of punch.
Well, the punch that Danny has become his meal ticket is the no-look left hook. Spence says, you know, it's fine. I respect it. But it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to land it. You felt the power of both. Is there an edge? Does either man have a bigger advantage?
You know, I didn't really feel Danny Garcia's power. I think that he caught me clean a couple of times, but it was nothing that really fazed me. Obviously, Errol Spence Jr. Knocking me down one time, making me, you know, put my hand on the canvas. I think that he's obviously has that power that it's like you can't get touched by it. If you get touched by it, the worst could happen. The worst happened to me, you know, and we've seen the worst happen to a lot of guys that Errol Spence Jr. has been in the ring with. So, you know, but the thing about boxing, which makes it great and makes it exciting, is any punch can be that factor that turns the tables. Was the factor in my fight, and it could be the factor for Danny Garcia, you know. So I think that that's the most interesting part about this fight, and especially with the fact that we can't ignore the fact that Errol Spence Jr. is coming off of an unbelievable
scary.
Yeah, I'll just go with the word scary accident, and we don't know what he can hold up to now, you know. So this fight's more interesting than a lot of people think it is.
No, for sure. And you know, let's talk for a second. I mean, you weren't in his shoes, meaning Errol Spence, but you're a celebrity star pro fighter. You've gone from struggling to on top, back down, back up again. You've lived the life. He's openly said, look, I was living reckless. I was reckless that night. This was a wake-up call. The angels saved me, all that great stuff, which, by the way, thank you that he is still here and can continue and didn't break any bones. Do you think there's a mental price to pay, though, potentially? If physically, Errol Spence said he's got tested, his brain scans, everything's back perfect. Is there anything mental that could change from an experience like that?
You know what? The thing is, which is what I'm hoping, is that we all go through things that kind of make or break us. They help with their learning experiences. And so a lot of times it's like, dang, it's unfortunate that I had to go through that, but I'm going to be better because of it. The thing with that accident, though, is it made him better as in terms of who he is as a person. And what I'm hoping is that his body has not had to suffer because of it. And I'm hoping that the intangibles you take into the ring that people can't see, I'm hoping that none of that has had to pay the price for what he's gone through.
Yeah, absolutely. Such a good matchup. Even if we like Errol sort of as the favorite, the betting oddsmen like him as the favorite. Talent for talent, maybe he's got slight edges, but Danny's been counted out before, Shawn. I know this ain't Lucas Matisse, right? It's Errol Spence.
Right.
But I'll give Danny credit. He said Shawn Porter laid a blueprint that Errol Spence can be hit, that if you pressure him, he can do that. And, you know, Danny says, maybe I'm a little more dangerous than Shawn, but look, there's different fighters, different styles in there. If there's anything negative I'll say about Danny is, does he throw enough punches when he gets in there with the super elite? Is there something he can do just a little bit differently in terms of the strategy that could lift him to the top?
For me, it's just a conscious decision. It's a conscious decision that he and his dad have to make, that you got to learn from it. We lost those fights. Those fights were close because we didn't do enough. We have to do more moving forward. If they aren't smart enough to go and look back and make those type of adjustments, then you really aren't as elite as you think you are. Because to me, that's just a selfish, a conscious decision of, man, I'll only do 30 punches that round. If I throw 40, it makes him play more defense, and maybe I'm more successful with my offense, you know. So for Danny, I really do think that it comes down to the X's and O's of the game of, hey, more offense creates better defense and vice versa, you know. So I think if they were able to make that conscious choice of being more aggressive, not Shawn Porter aggressive, it doesn't take Shawn Porter aggressive to beat Errol Spence Jr., and you're not Shawn Porter, so you can't be Shawn Porter aggressive. However, the fight that really sticks out in my mind is the fight that he had with Adrian Granados. He took the fight to Adrian Granados. The fight lasted like, what, 5 rounds or something like that? Maybe even less than that. I went 12 rounds with Adrian Granados, and he's gone 10 and 12 with so many other of the elites, you know? So he was able to do it then. Danny Garcia has proved that he can take guys out. He's got to do it now.
I love it. I love it. So much at stake. The winner, you could argue, is the power player in this great division if they have 2 of the 4 world titles and in a spot to get another big pay-per-view opportunity. There will be no shortage of suitors lining up. Both Garcia and Spence said, we would love Pacquiao if we win. I don't know if you saw the press release. 2021 called, and they want Keith Thurman back, according to Keith Thurman's publicist. They want one time back. He declares he wants the winner. What about Showtime Shawn Porter?
Because I was going to ask you, like, I feel like I'm the power player here because I'm mandatory for the WBO title and the IBF and WBC titles, you know? So one's going to walk out of the ring with both titles Saturday night, and I can pick and choose to fight Terence Crawford right now if I wanted to, you know? So I'm honestly just waiting to see Saturday night shake out. And then if Keith Thurman wants any of the 3, he's got to get in line behind me. So I feel like I'm the power player here.
Wow. And you guys had a classic of a fight, you and Mr. Keith Thurman. I feel like it has to happen again, right? I mean, when it's that close and it's a perfect fight.
I don't know because since 2016, he's never said my name again. And even now here where, hey, you got to get behind me to fight these 2 guys, or even the other guy with the belt, or take a rematch with Manny Pacquiao. I'm not mandatory to fight Manny, but I think that I could argue to fight Manny too, you know? So if Keith wants anything, I think he's got to say my name before he can say anybody else's name.
Hey, not a bad time to be Shawn Porter. I know you're fresh off. You had a quarantine win over the German kid, Sebastian. What was it? Formella was his last name? Yeah. Like, hey, Kim had a chin, Shawn. You stayed busy there, but a big fight for you, regardless of where it falls down. But look, you've crossed over and made it work in broadcasting too. We love you on PBC, on Fox. Love sitting next to you on the NBC game. How fun, challenging has this transition been for you?
I'll tell you one thing. I'm looking forward to Thursday night. I think that we have some great fights on NBC, and I hope nobody misses the fights that are going to be coming on Thursday night, and in the main event with Brandon Adams and the replacement Sonny Stewart. That's going to be a banger too, you know. So we're going to have some bangers Thursday night. I'm looking forward to sitting next to you on Thursday night. I hope you say a little bit more and don't leave me hanging like you did last week, a couple weekends ago. We're going to have a lot of fun on Thursday, and that's my main thing. When I started this is I said I want to just have fun and basically treat it like I'm at home, you know. And I've been very comfortable to start, and I've been comfortable to this point. I don't expect to do anything other than get better. And the best part about it is, well, prior to COVID, I was able to really, you know, keep my training going, continue to train and all that kind of stuff. So with COVID, it's like, man, I can't go out to run, and I don't know if I want to be in a room where a lot of other people have been doing the workout, you know. So that part has become difficult because of COVID, but other than that, man, everything's been great, and I'm enjoying it.
We've loved it. I'm sure your tailor has been kept very busy because nobody's better dressed than Shawn. You haven't told us the secret of how you get the Windsor not that darn large. I have to assume the secret is you buy a 3-foot-long tie. You and Donald Trump must be shopping in the same stores, all right?
I got a feeling, man, eventually I'm going to have to sell this recipe because Everybody's been asking about it. I'm gonna put it on DVD or something like that and sell it. I know people don't even buy DVDs anymore, but that's how worth it is.
It could be the next step in the Shawn Porter marketing career after the representation of Ultimate Sack. Who can forget that line? You're still on the website, you know?
I enjoyed my Ultimate Sacks. You hit it on the nail. You said how many you got? Let me guess, maybe 4. I got 4 of those bad boys around the city of Vegas.
4 of those big sacks. Yes, he's fantastic. Real quick, you did mention Terence Crawford. Shawn, can that fight actually happen? I mean, I know, you got Bob Arum pissing on Terence Crawford. They're going back and forth. Maybe he'll be a free agent next year. Do you want that fight?
Let's be realistic. I think the first component there that you have to cover is the fact that Terence Crawford will be renewing his contract with Top Rank at the end of the beginning of 2021. So you gotta wonder, is he going to renew that contract? If he does not, boom, doors wide open, fight happens. If it doesn't happen with me, it happens with Errol Spence Jr. If it doesn't happen with Errol Spence Jr., it happens with anybody that's a part of the PBC. But if he stays with Bob Arum, now Bob Arum is still the biggest chess piece on the board, and it depends on Bob and PBC to make those fights happen. I do believe those are fights that can happen and can be made. I think that we'll start to see more co-promotions with Top Rank and with Golden Boy and all those Matchroom, all those guys out there with PBC. I think that boxing is starting to understand that that's what's necessary to keep the sport moving the way that it has for so many years now.
I'd love to see your intelligent pressure against a fighter like Bud. I have no idea what that would look like. We love Bud, but you can only fight, mean machines and Americans for so long. You got to get in there against the best. Do you ever pinch yourself and be like, man, we're in a serious welterweight historic era? I mean, people love Leonard, Hearns, Duran, but it ain't bad being contemporaries with Spence, Crawford, Thurman, Manny.
For me, I actually just interviewed Tommy Hearns. I had him in my studio. I interviewed him for the Porterweight podcast. And I told him, I said, you are a big reason why I box. I said, you're not my favorite fighter. My favorite fighter is Marvin Hagler, but it's the fight that he had against you that made me want to do what I do now. And to now know that that goal that I set so long ago to dazzle so many fans in the stands and on TV and things like that, it's amazing that I'm doing it now. In a lot of ways, I often say I can't believe that I'm in the position that I'm in, and especially now with being a mandatory for 3 of the 4 major sanctioning bodies, for me is amazing. But to be in a host of guys like Terence Crawford, Errol Spence Jr., Danny Garcia, and the likes of those guys is amazing, man. And I can't believe it.
I love it. Follow this man's work, the great Showtime Shawn Porter. We'll be seeing him on the Fox pay-per-view on Saturday. Garcia Spence Thursday night on NBC Sports Network with this guy right here and Bob Papa on the Ring City USA broadcast. Shawn, can't wait to see you back in the ring, ringside, wherever we're going to see you. It's always an entertaining time, sir.
Just open your door, man, and put a hand out.
I mean, come on. Yeah. I mean, we're close enough here. Thank you for your time, sir.
You got it.